Welcome to the France 24 interview. I'm Hervé Amoric in Galway, Ireland. Our guest is the Irish Prime Minister, Enda Kenny. Taoiseach, Fáilte France 24, welcome to France 24.
Merci beaucoup and welcome to you.
European stock markets are tumbling once again. People are anxious. Will Ireland still have the euro next year?
Yes. The European leaders are committed to the protection of the euro. And the feeling within the Eurozone is that that's very definite. Of course, there are political and economic anxieties and concerns, and that's why it's necessary for political leadership across the EU and across the Eurozone to work together in the interests of the protection of the euro.
Investors are still worried about the economic future of the Eurozone, and in particular about nations in debt like Ireland. Angela Merkel and Nicolas Sarkozy tried their best to solve the issue during the summer. They seem to have failed. How do you rate their efforts?
I think that the Chancellor and the President came together on a number of occasions with the specific intent of providing leadership in respect of decisions that were made and have to be made for the Eurozone countries. The conclusion reached at the July Council meeting sets out what needs to be done for each country to implement its programme so that Europe can get on to meet its potential as we know that it can under the Lisbon Treaty.
Is this turmoil not proof that the Eurozone needs more economic integration, perhaps even a federal government of Europe? Is it time for the United States of Europe?
I don't believe that it is. I believe that the decisions taken at the July meeting, once they're implemented by each of the individual countries, difficult and challenging though they are, difficult and challenging though they are for this country, where a government and its people work together in the interest of providing a future for that country, once each political leadership in each country does that, then the Eurozone problems can be dealt with. And from my perspective, the leadership of Ireland here, we are an example of how a country where the government works with the people in the interests of meeting the challenges of each programme can actually make a significant material difference. We still have a long way to go, but we've made a good start in the right direction, and that's recognised by international economic commentators now.
Do you think we'll still have a euro by the time all the Eurozone countries have met the July targets?
Yes, I do.
Is it not the case that you're going to have a new austerity budget in December? How are the Irish people going to take even more austerity?
Well, I think it's important to recognise that in this year of 2011, the government which I lead now are actually implementing an austerity programme equivalent to 6 billion being taken out of the economy. We are committed to the reduction of the budget deficit to 3% by 2015. That means that we must have it reduced to 8.6% in 2012. So the final figure that will be required in the budget for 2012 is not yet determined because you don't have the income, you don't have the tax receipts or the growth rates absolutely determined yet.
Moving on to corporation tax now, Taoiseach. Ireland's low corporate tax at 12.5% no longer seems to be an issue in Europe. Have you made peace with Nicolas Sarkozy on this particular point?
I think the sort of perception between the difference of opinion between Ireland and France, between myself and President Sarkozy, was exaggerated. Ireland's corporation tax rate is 12.5%, but it's also very transparent right across the board. And that matter has been dealt with and settled, and each country under the Lisbon Treaty is entitled as a national competency to deal with their own individual tax rates. And I'm glad that the other leaders have accepted Ireland's position and that it's very...
But have you not made a deal though? Ireland has accepted to enter into negotiations on the common consolidated corporate tax base. Is that not tax harmonisation through the back door?
Well, there are different opinions about the validity of a common consolidated tax base. Obviously, when the Commission publish any paper, as is their legal right, Ireland will of course engage constructively in any such discussions. I think it's clear that a number of governments within the Eurozone are vehemently opposed to a CCCTB. But for our part, as I said at the Council meeting and at other locations, we will engage constructively in the debate on this matter, though clearly I don't support it.
Many families in Ireland are struggling to pay their house mortgages. Will your government bail them out, or are these people going to be homeless?
Well, this is a matter of grave concern and anxiety for thousands of people in our country who unfortunately got into difficulties because of unemployment or having borrowed too much with an inability to pay it back. There are a number of facilities in place already for people who are caught in these circumstances to negotiate with their lender, be it banks or other financial institutions. I might say that under the restructuring programme that the government put in place for the banks were recapitalised to the extent that they have money within their systems to deal with bad debt, particularly in relation to mortgages. And our advice to people is in the first instance to sit down and negotiate their individual and particular circumstances with the lender. I might say that the government are also awaiting a report on a broad range of other options that might be available to government to assist in this area. We expect that by the end of September, and we'll make decisions based on those recommendations. However, there will not be a universal debt forgiveness in this situation, because each individual circumstance is unique.
During the election campaign, you promised to put Ireland on the road to recovery. You promised to create 100,000 jobs. Unemployment is still rising at 14.4%. Are you not failing?
Unemployment is much too high, and we recognise that. Obviously, when you put in place a job creation programme, it does take time for that to percolate and filter down through the system. I would say that the government's agenda, insofar as the programme for government is concerned, is very clear. We want to cut costs, we want to reduce the cost of doing business, eliminate red tape, we want to provide incentives for small and medium enterprises, such as credit facilities being available, a partial loan guarantee scheme, a microfinance system for very small businesses, and to continue with building the reputation of Ireland for foreign direct investment, and also to get back to a point where our indigenous business gets back to what they were doing best in the late 90s, which was exporting and being very flexible in meeting demands of customers abroad. So we would expect that despite the economic circumstances, that unemployment can begin to grow in 2012 for the first time in 5 years. I recognise that every person who's on the live register has a difficulty, and I don't like to see that. But it's not possible to make such a huge leap in such a short time. But we're setting in place the programme and the agenda. We will follow that with decisiveness by government decision and continue to strengthen our economy, grow employment, and take people off the dole queues.
Moving on to the very public row with the Vatican, you accused last July the Vatican of interfering with investigations on sexual abuse by the clergy. The Vatican has denied that. Are you standing by your accusations?
Yes, I am. The speech I made in the Parliament in the Dáil was in relation to allegations of child sexual abuse in a diocese in Ireland. The government have a statutory commission which dealt with this, and on a number of occasions over the past number of years, that commission sought information from the Holy See, and that information was not forthcoming. My primary focus, and the primary focus of the government, is on children, childcare protection, and the provision of childcare facilities. And while there are very many religious people who live their vocation as one would expect, nothing less than full cooperation with the Statutory Commission is required here. And when that full cooperation is not forthcoming, it amounts to interference. Now, I want to invite every organisation to work with the government as we put in place statutory and legal requirements to deal with vetting, to deal with the oversight of the delivery of childcare services, and to put childcare guidelines on a statutory basis that this kind of activity in respect of child sexual abuse can never happen again. What we're interested in herein is having a system where everybody is required to report information that is material to the abuse of children.
Do you believe that the Catholic Church has done everything it could to solve this issue, and what is the state prepared to do at this point in time? What measures?
The state is prepared to legislate here and will legislate in the near future. The state is prepared to put in place an agency which will implement the guidelines and oversee and monitor the implementation of those guidelines. Insofar as the church is concerned, as I said in the Parliament, I do not believe that they have done all that they could have done. I invite the churches again to participate in the structured dialogue which we have here with faith organisations and other organisations, and to work now with government.
Prime Minister, you've been in office for 6 months now. How do you rate your own performance, and what are the challenges ahead?
It's a great privilege to be the political leader of a country, to be Taoiseach of our government here. This is a collective mandate. My government was given the strongest mandate in the history of our state to change the way that this country was being run and to bring about a new future for our people and for our country. That's where my focus is, and every member of my cabinet and every member of the government is working diligently to implement our programme for government, which we have agreed has the capacity to change the direction and the fortunes of this country and its people.
Thank you, Taoiseach. Our guest was the Irish Prime Minister, Andrea Sanke. Stay with us on France 24.